there. Today is May the 10th. We are doing a Project Mayhem webinar based on the topic of future proofing. I wanted to build these through smaller bite-sized chunks to help anyone develop a business. Nothing super technical, but nothing too broad. It's something you can apply today or tomorrow. And I wanted to break out some questions to what I wanted to touch on, and some of the things I see in a lot of my clients and other people's clients is that internet, there is a consensus that most people think that it takes a long time. People won't last. People don't grow, and people complain. And let's kind of touch on that real quick. Oh, if you have any questions, go ahead and put it into this group. I'm gonna put it over here in the chat box for everybody to have. Let me see here. Come on, let me type in here. Well, that was a fair cause. In my Facebook group, if you have a comment, go ahead and place it in the questions for tonight, and I can kind of review those on a later date. Okay, so let me open up a notepad like I normally do. Actually, shoot, let me break open one of these guys. Let me open up a book. Let me doodle a little bit for you guys. All right. So one of the things I wanted to kind of dive into, let's make this a little bigger, was why people don't last. And this is about future proofing, okay? Future proofing. Just real quick about me. I joined MLM back in 2006. I went online to the www world in 2008. I think it was 2009. I'd started my first blog, failed horribly. 2010, I started learning SEO. 2011 is when I had my first 10K day, not per day, just say, I haven't been able to repeat it. I think I've only done it a couple times, but I actually hit it in a day my first time in 2011. 2012, I think my best month was close to 60 in a month, and now I'm full-time. Now, all this above was part-time, okay? And I think a lot of it has to do with future-proofing. I wanted to build on a foundation so I can make more money when I went full-time, okay? That was kind of where I wanted to go. Okay, so, well, number one, why people don't last is number one, how do you have a lasting business, especially on the World Wide Web? A lot of it has to do with money. All right, I know there's many things that go into it, but I wanted to touch on one, money. If your cash flow is low and all you think about is, okay, I just spent like $100 to something, and you're basically have a 30-day expiration, and if you don't make money in 30 days, you pull out. See, if you want to last, your mind, it really needs to start thinking like you're testing, and return on investment is important to a point, right? I know some people get too stuck on a return on investment and forget the fact that return on investment can come from leads. And see, leads don't really pay you that same day sometimes. They pay you over years. And remember, we're trying to build something that lasts. What lasts is something that can make you money for years to come versus that same day or the first return on investment for that first sale, right? So keep an open mind when you have people who are coming in and you're trying to teach your team. Understand, if you want your team to last, a lot of it does depend on how much money they have, right? Now there's kind of two ways I kind of saw where this went. Two things you can do. Well, number one is you have your own money. Let's change this pen. Your own money. right? Or you have a self-generated, right? So these are kind of things. So someone who has a good job generally has this. Someone who's been in the biz and has been profitable has this. I started with this first, right? Obviously, everyone starts with zero income, and then I slowly migrated over here, right? I no longer use the money that came in to pay for my food, pay for my house. I started using the money that was making me money through what we call a funded proposal. Okay, funded proposal. So if you look at this, what happens is you have the World Wide Web, you have what we call a funnel, and you have what we call is traffic. And traffic is going down this funnel that you take in through steps, right? And usually those steps come from an autoresponder. Okay. Most people on step number one wants to make their money here, which I can understand that, right? But as you take these steps and take them basically in days, as you grow, you grow in length. Basically, you start to age these leads. I mean, I have people who've been with me for, I think it was yesterday. Someone said that they've been following me for over 5 years. Like right when I got online, 5 years they've been on my list, and they actually joined my opportunity through one of my reps. And they're like, I've known Lawrence for years, and this is like, wow, that's awesome, because you build that reputation, and then they go, you mean you're under Lawrence Tam? Okay, cool. I want to sign up under you. And it's just kind of that pull, because you're building that brand. You're building yourself over time. Now this is a cool thing, because if you can stay on for a long time, what does that do for you? Well, number one, a lot of people drop off because they don't get their return on investment fast enough, because they run out of money, right? Once they run out of money, their wife gets on them. They make excuses. The business isn't worth it. Building their own side business isn't profitable enough, and so they go get another job, right? Which is even better, which is funny to me. So when people drop off, and then these people, they go back to their job, wearing a hat, and then ringing a bell, that a clock that tells them what they're worth, and tells them you need to be at work at eight to 5. And then you have people like us, people who are at chairs, we're sitting here on a computer, right, a computer desk. And then, plus, a lot of us do multi-level marketing on the back end, right? Now, I feel like you probably have most people 6 months. That's kind of like the barrier. That's if you're lucky, right? 6 months. Once they cross over, generally, they are lifers. They are in. They might go away for a couple months. They might go away for a year, but a lot of people call it the bug, and I think that is some lasting appeal. And those who have spent thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing, I think they're buying junk. Just personally, I think they're buying junk. I think they're like too much of the ClickBank era of like these super hyped things where people want to show you how to make money, and it's just not working, because that crap don't work. Sorry, I don't mean to be too blunt. But then you have something called Empower Network. Empower Network is it's the real deal, guys. If you're not on Empower Network, join under the person who brought you to this webinar. Join under the person who referred to you. I mean, Empower Network. I mean, it doesn't have to be me. I'm here to spread some love. I'm actually here to change the way people think about building a business. If you follow my story, my goal was to make $12K per month for 12 months. That was it. And Empower Network blew that out of the water. I mean, it literally blew it out of the water. So I'm like, I think I have enough. Empower's great. More will come. And this is the root essence of attraction marketing. Okay? Now, these are terms of all things you'll learn with repetition. Okay? So generally, in the response to, how do people last, you need to be making money, and you need to recycle that money back into your business. But a lot of you don't make enough money on your back end, maybe your network market opportunity, or maybe you're not making enough sales in Empower. You really need a stable income to fund that business, even if it's like I mean, if you can do $200 to $500, and you could do that per month, and you can do that for 4 years, compare that to a college education, right? So let's say on the top end 500, looking at 6,000 per year, and for 4 years you spent $24,000, and then compare that to a state a state institution. I think I think at University of Texas, I think they're doing 4,000 just for tuition now, if I'm right. If I'm right, so I think it's room and board. Most people are doing about 15,000 times four, looking at 60K. Um, the person who graduates from a job, spending $60,000 from a college, they're probably making anywhere from 50 to 75,000 coming out. Someone who could stick in for 4 years, understand the principles of traction marketing, funded proposals, building a network marketing opportunity that pays them well. Um, I started in 2008. Now it's 2012, and my one of my income streams is over 25,000 a month. I think it's worth it. Now, it's worth it for you. I don't know. I don't know what your why is, right? Okay. And then the number two thing is why people don't grow. You know why people don't grow? Um, the central reason I believe people don't grow is because of lack of application over time. Money has to do with it too. Drive has to do with it too. But if you have a lack of application over time, that means you're not doing testing, you're not building, you're not growing. It's that simple. I mean, it's just that simple, right? So you're gonna have people who go to college, don't learn jack, party their way through it, and then hope they get a job. Same thing. You have people go through Empower Network or Lead System Pro or whatever attraction marketing system or a ClickBank product or whatever product you bought from somebody, and if you don't really apply it, learn from it, you're never gonna grow, right? Of all the programs I go through, trainings, um, multi-level marketing companies, I did these primarily to learn. If you take it into that effect, most of us who went through college, you spent a hell of a lot more money spent on learning a specific job function, which is probably extinct by now, right? When I got laid off, there were literally batches and batches of overseas outsourced help, and I'm not going to say what type of person, but let's just say there's a certain type of person that has been replacing a lot of engineering and designer jobs within my company. A certain type, okay, because they're cheap and they come with PhDs. So they understand that, and so there's so many people, let's say overseas, that understand education. They are taking the jobs. They are definitely taking the jobs, and so well, all of that comes from learning, right? They paid the price to learn, and there's so many of them that they will come in to just undercut you, but you don't have that fear. I mean, on the internet, you are paid eventually, not now, maybe, eventually, what you're worth. Okay, and if someone would have told me back in 2008 that I was worth, more than 50K per month, I would say, shut your mouth, you're crazy. Shut your mouth, you're crazy. Um, but it's a reality now, and I don't even know what to do with myself except just help as many people as I can understand it's a process. You must apply. You must have money. You must use what you buy, because a lot of people just get into the whole, it's greener on the other side, so they collect a bunch of junk, and then it's like buying a textbook for a class and never using it. You know what I mean? At least get the cliff notes. At least get some use out of it. But that's just the way it is. And I want to be able to break that. And time should be on your side. I know many of you are unemployed, just like me, because I'm employed. Um, but see, the time factor is crunching you because you only have so much unemployment. You have bills. So you must make it happen. Now, to that type of person, man, that is tough. That is tough. I mean, oof, the only ways I've seen this have a happy ending, this type of time restrictions for an unemployed person who's someone who doesn't have a job, and that let's say they need to make two thousand a month just to stay afloat. I mean, generally the only things I've seen that can reproduce this is multi-level marketing because you already have a list, right? Versus having to generate a list. Um, empower Empower Network. You can do this, but it must come from the basics of tell others, blog daily, get paid. Now, blogging daily, probably I would spend an hour. Telling others, I would spend 17 hours. That's 18 hours. So that gives you 6 hours to sleep. If you did that, I think that would work. I think, and if you did this for anything, I think a lot of it's just time. So if you can really apply yourself into doing that, I think you could do it. Now the person who has a job, someone who's doing it part time, people say I can't believe you could do it. I can't believe you can explode out of there. It's like, well, someone who's part time, they have money. That's even if it's the general. I like a cushion of 200 per month. If you can do 200 per month, you can do a lot of damage. I mean that can pay for Empower, that can pay for Aweber, that can pay for hosting, and maybe a couple tools, right? And then once this starts to become profitable, you can then reinvest back into this, doing co-ops and stuff, buying traffic and stuff. You can start testing on a bigger scale. But 200, I think, is it's more than fair to run a business that can make you 200,000 a month, right? Spend $200 a month to grow into that. Okay. Now, last part I want to go into is the complaining. Now, most people don't want to focus on this, but I'm like, hey, I'm human. What is the complaining about? What is this complaining, right? So, I've been online since 2008. I've been doing SEO since 2009. SEO, I've been doing World Wide Web since 2008. I'm just a baby in this industry. There's people who've been doing this over a decade. I think I ran into people who have lists of 200,000 in their list. My list is only 12,000. Now, how can you make a full-time living on 12,000 and someone also makes a killer on 200,000? Because I understood the power of the list. I understood if you build a relationship with that list, it doesn't have to be that big. It doesn't. During the pay-per-click days of Google, they like to say every person, let's make them worth every person $1. So if you have 12,000 active distributors, active readers, people who subscribe, then you're probably making, if you have 12,000 K, then you should be making 12,000 a month also. If you have 200,000, you should be making that much per month, which is a fair number. Now, I make more than this because I convert higher than the average person, primarily because I backdoor almost everybody I have. When I mean backdoor, I mean I send everyone to a multi-level marketing business, which then is a super high converting per person conversion, right? Because I know a lot of people, they do multi-level marketing on their back door and they sign up one rep and that one rep is worth $100. Well, what if I told you my rep is closer to $1,000, right? Stuff like that, and of course, if we're doing math, this should be the one that wins, but there's a lot of people who do this and then they wonder why they're not growing their bank account because your network marketing company doesn't pay you. So, but that's neither here nor there. We're just talking about complaining. How do you crush complaining? Let me show you how to crush complaining. If you're a complainer and you want to make it, this is what you do. You need to, let me change color because I want to emphasize this. You need to find your why. A why is why you run the business. Okay. I could complain about my wife telling me, hey, stop spending our money on marketing. I can complain about why I had to sleep at midnight for 4 years straight to learn, because that was my quiet time. That's when I could learn. I complain about, why everyone I look up to, made more money than me. I could complain why I don't have a product that makes me money more than a physical product that makes me more than 5,000 a month. I don't have a product that does that, right? Everything I do is an affiliate. But why complain? See, your whys will change, and instead of complaining, you just freaking do it, man. Just just do it. You're gonna have people in your teams and your downlines. They just love to complain, and until you can break them to understanding that, look, what is your alternative? Do you want a part-time job? You want to wait tables? Is that what you really want to do? Is that efficient use of your time? And it's up to them, right? You can't drag people to their own checks. You can't drag people to their own success. It's just going to burn you out. It's going to burn you out. It is. It is. And if you really want to future-proof what you're doing, this is what I do. Okay, I build traffic. Okay, I'm a big traffic guy, and I'm always learning different ways to do traffic. Okay, and what I do is I have offline traffic, and I have online traffic. All right, online traffic, offline traffic. Offline traffic being my multi-level marketing company, online traffic being Empower Network and my Lead System Pro. As you notice, if you've been through my funnel, everything points like this, right? And then this trickles, and then I'll have about 5% who are ready to learn online marketing. Some of you won't get this. Some of you leaders who've made more than $20,000 a month will understand what I'm talking about. I don't want my entire crew of network marketers to do online marketing yet. Eventually, but generally only about 5% have the capacity, the funds, the time, the desire to do so. These are the people. You will see people who don't understand this, and you will see their downlines and their residuals look like doo-doo, right? This is what other people do. Other people what they do is they do this, and then they throw them right back over to online. This is where the big, fat confusion comes in. Now, for many of us on this webinar who have done it both and done it for a very long time, like me, I can do this. But that's only I don't think about 5% can do that. So I think if you were to break this leg off and only give about 5% of the people who are actually making money and who have time to throw back online once you go offline, because I generate offline stuff through friends and family. And then if they make money, if they're ready to move, I'll move them online. So don't get this line, this barrier mixed up, because you will notice there's many people online. All they do is sell you how to build MLM, but they have crap downlines. You know, and you can smell it. You can smell it. People who only want to sell you stuff, but they don't even do what they preach, right? They don't even build a team. If you're looking to build a team, I highly recommend using Empower Network, backdoor into your multi-level marketing company, and then squeezing the 5% who are ready to go back and learn more internet marketing, right? That's my feeling, 5%. Now, hopefully, over time, this will grow up to 50%, okay? But it depends. It depends, okay? But the average person, I don't think has the money or time to do so. So, a lot of times, we have Empower Network it is it. I mean, in terms of online marketing, funnels, training, you don't get any better, okay? But Empower Network is not really categorized as an opportunity. All right, it's not. Right, it's a front-end funnel to pay for your marketing so you can grow bigger, faster, get more leads. All that needs to be funneling into a back end product. Oops, product. Traditionally, this is a multi-level marketing or your own product. Okay? I just understand that. If you do that, you have less people who will quit. You will have less people who will complain, and you will grow faster because, it's more. I mean, it's more about efficiency than anything. And if you can do that properly with your team, and just share with them with love, how you want them to grow. I think that's a better relationship than just shoving them new stuff to buy without giving them a true focus to where they want to go. Because for me, my money is online, offline. 50% is here, 50% is here. Yes, Empower, Mind Lead System Pro, and then I have Visalis. And both of them are equal shares in terms of profit. This is my future proof. Right? That was me. And I've seen some people teeter on both, but really haven't done it properly. I think because they don't really bridge the gap very well on how to have them both talk to each other. And myself, Toby, Cedric, I mean, all of us, internet marketers who've done this properly, Brian Addison, Nick Bramble, Franco Gonzalez. I mean, a lot of us bridge the gap between those two. And it's just one of those things where it's like, well, what you can do is, number one, you just basically buy their time. Right? You can rent my time. You can rent Nick Bramble's time. You can rent Franco Gonzalez's time. Or basically, you just get in their face, make them money, and then force them to call you. That happens too, right? And a lot of that time, just generally, just get in their programs and just make them money. Get in their programs, make the money, and a lot of that comes from just joining their multi-level marketing company, right? We will dive more into how to convert like that. How you bridge the gap between the two, because that was really a long time. I generated 10,000 leads and didn't sponsor a soul into my first network marketing company, and there's a lot of reasons for that. But bridging this gap and having them communicate with each other and having them talk properly, and still having both sides work properly and communicating and growing, it's a fine line. It is definitely a fine line. Okay, I think that's it for our presentation. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, preferably if it's on topic of future proofing and seeing how I wanted to break my income in half from offline and online, I'm more than welcome to see what you have. You can type it into the go-to meeting, but preferred if you can get it here. If you can get it here, then more people can see it. But it's up to you. This is my testing. But if not, I'm more than happy to just close it up for tonight. I have a coaching client. I'm gonna call in about 30 minutes. Okay, and he paid for my time. And that's one of those things. Now that I'm full time, am taking on coaching clients. I don't disclose the price just yet because I'm not sure if I want to do too many clients. It is time intensive. It takes time away from my wife because at night is when I hang out with my wife. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Go ahead and type it in the box in the bottom right in your questions, and let me know if you have anything. But if not, I'm gonna try to. This is recorded, and I'll put this on Team Project Mayhem. If you haven't seen the site recently, I'm starting to get guest bloggers to write content on it. Okay, Alicia is posting a lot of content for me, and it's a pretty cool partnership. I'll show you what I mean when we get to that point. We'll do a webinar on guest blogging and why you would even do that. What strategies have you tried to bridge to offline? One of the things online marketers tend to do and do poorly is communication. Online marketers seem to think that a video and autoresponder is the only way to connect with people. I found that if you physically call and force, I mean in numbers, not like forcing, but in numbers, that has dramatically increased what I've done online for my team, online for Empower Network and ViSalus. So if you're looking to build your team like that way, you must not avoid the phone. Now, I know there's some marketers that say, I'll never pick up the phone. That's different. When they say they don't pick up the phone, they don't pick up the phone for leads, prospects. But when it's a customer, we're talking about a customer. Remember, we're always about bridging the gap, right? So there's a difference between a customer and a prospect. David Wood, he really nailed it on the head. If you're making like 5,000 a month, phone calls are on this side, never on this side. You don't call prospects. I mean, you're making 5,000 a month. Just outsource it. Get someone to call them for you. You should be calling your customers though, right? And this offline method, understanding the power of the phone is connecting. Second thing is you need to dive into the behavior of what is duplicatable if this is offline, right? If you really understand the behavior of people, what can duplicate, how it can duplicate, how fast you can do it, and this is a behavior that is very hard to teach online because there's so many different shiny, pointy objects, right? But once you go offline, you can control that a little bit better. You can send them to a central training source. Online, I mean, once someone has an email, they're bombarded daily about different offers. But offline, it's much more clear. So that's why when I did my offline and online, I started seeing a tendency in terms of attention span. Attention. Both make good money. Both make good money. But in terms of duplication, you're always looking to see, how fast you can do it, who can do it, the tools that you can provide them. Offline, there's definitely less amount of tools, right, and training that you need to pay for. Online, the tools skyrocket, right, because everyone and their mama wants to sell you a tool in some kind of training because that's product creation. That's, caffeine products and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to fight this. If you can focus your team away from diving into too many tools that don't work, or making sure that they're efficient with their time, you'll be able to grow that. And so that's the benefit of bridging that offline. You want your offline type of behavior online. You will notice the largest network marketing companies in the world, their downlines are very, very focused on a central theme, central training, and how they do things. When you go online, you go to online network marketing companies. Those who try to be recruiting heavy, and they don't have any customers, you will notice the way they drive their culture. The culture is very, very different than those who are purely offline. So just take that into account. The phone is your best friend. Behavior of buying and what people do. Future proofing. Yeah, I mean. In a nutshell, if today is 2012, in 2014, let's say 2 years, right? Enough time to get a junior college or whatever, an associate's degree. What are you doing today? What are you doing today to future-proof your business in the future? Number one, you better be building a list. You gotta be building a list. Number two, you gotta build a brand, right? You got to be good with your time. You got to be good with your time, right? These are very fundamental things that you need to be doing, right? And then really, really understanding people, right? Because most of us make our money from people, right? And if you can answer their questions of why they don't grow, growth patterns, retention, drive. When you start understanding this stuff, you're going to be able to tap into motivating people passively, through a video. you know, through a group, through a Facebook group, you can then start to dive in and really really help people do that, right? So, what are you doing today to build that type of culture within your team? If you're building a business where it's a smash and grab, how much can I sell on the front end? You're not going to be growing yourself very long for the future. Okay. Um, well, I want to start wrapping this up. Well, one thing, you know, you need to come to Atlanta, Georgia. I believe it's June. Was it 9? I guess around that time. 7 to 10, I think. Never mind. 7 to 10. I'll be there Thursday. I'll be leaving Monday morning. I'm gonna try to do a Project Mayhem training. I don't know when, where, or how, but I'm gonna try. Okay, I'm gonna try to do it outside the confines of their schedule. If it needs to be freaking like 1 o'clock at night in the parking lot, or if it needs to be in my maybe in the bar area at 7 a.m. I don't know. And all it's gonna do is maybe we'll do an Empowered Network round table of questions, Q&A. Okay, I'm gonna have at least I'm thinking at least 5 people who've made more than $20,000 inside of Empowered Network. Those who are in my downline, those who aren't in my downline in Empowered Network, but just people I've met along the way, and we want to give back on a deeper, more intimate scale. And I've asked them a favor. Hey, if you want to talk to some of my teams, kind of plug them in what you're doing. Think of it as an inner circle, and this is a no pitch event, so we're not going to close you on Empower or any well not Empower, you're doing Empower, but we're not going to close you on Visalis or anything like that or Lead System Pro or whatever. This is a no pitch. We're just going to show you what we're doing in Empower, what you can do specifically, kind of like a private training. Not sure how we're going to do it. Maybe we'll do it with breakout rooms and have a couple people just kind of snag like 10 people, and then we'll just have a discussion and just be free of charge. Okay. One of my guys will be talking about solo ads, so I would definitely want him to be speaking to a lot of you guys because I am always looking for more solo ad managers. Okay. That is all I'm going to cover today, and I should be doing another one next week. Not sure what the topic's going to be. If you want to throw some topics out there you want me to cover, go ahead and just throw it on my Facebook group, and we'll go on from there. Okay. Well, thank you for attending. This will be recorded, and I will see you soon.